Good morning, folks, and welcome to another episode with Felix Frey. This time, we're going to go ahead and talk about how to read an options chain. Felix, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How's everything? Good?
Doing well, cannot complain. I am going to go ahead and get the disclaimers out of the way. There's a lot of things that Felix and I will be talking about, our experiences, our trades, our thought processes. Always ask for you to do your own due diligence. It is your duty to do that. We are not financial advisors. But Felix, options chain, we've been talking about options for quite a bit, especially in terms of how to go ahead and get the right strikes, how to do all these different things. By the way, next week's episode, we're going to focus on how to sell covered calls. There you go, easy for me to say. But in order to do that, we've got to be able to learn how to read an options chain. So that's what I've brought up here with me today. Walk me through kind of like the basics of the options chain, and then we can get to the nitty gritty and what we should and should not focus on. And folks in the chat, as always, please go ahead and let us know if you have any questions. But what you got for me here? This is my screen that I'm sharing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's basic. The options chain hasn't really changed in 60 years now. Is it 50 years? So it's been the same. Strikes down the middle, calls on the left, puts on the right. The one thing that's interesting, and I don't think you'll be able to change it, but logically, this is the way it was always done on sheets, right? So back in the day, when people were on the exchanges and in the option pits, they used to carry sheets, papers, and they'd have it typed out or written, on these sheets. And if you think about it, when you look at a graph, when you look at any type of like hockey stick graphs, stocks go this way to the right, and if it goes up, the stocks go to the right on the x-axis. If it goes down, the stocks go on the left. Puts or down, the arrows pointing to the left,
Right.
up to the left. So you would think logically maybe puts should be on the left and calls should be on the right. That's first. And then secondly, when you're reading the option chain, we'll do it in a second. When I say when the strikes are going up, notice that the strikes are going visually, the strikes are going down. So if you say, you go from 732 up to 737, visually you're actually going down. So the strike should actually probably upside down. So it's like logically the put should be on the left, call should be on the right, and the thing should be flipped, because now you have a computer screen that can move up and down. It's never going to change. I mean, to change that would be, people would have an uproar.
I have never thought about that, but I think you're absolutely right, because now I'm thinking of how I would psychologically want my mouse to go. And yes, if right is seen as better, profitable, whatever,
Yeah.
there's strategy dependent. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I would rather have the calls on the right hand side and puts on the left hand side.
And the strikes flipped.
And the strikes flipped as well. Okay, well, I was
but you're never going to be able to do that. Yeah. So scratch that thought, because you'll never be able to do that. But
hold on. Normal people are trying to figure out how they are going to text a breakup text to their girlfriends, how they're going to afford groceries.
This is what I think about it
in the options chain world. I just want to point that out.
This is what gets me excited. It's like, wow. That's why I'm a geek. That's why they call me the options geek. It's like, because I'm looking at this stuff and going, who thought of this? It makes no type of sense.
Total nerd. Okay, that's awesome. Tell me what I'm looking at here now.
All right, so strikes down the middle. Okay, you have strikes going up. If you go all the way down the screen, strikes going, down. You can shift it. They're always going to tell you the where the SPY is right now. So you see the SPY right in the center there. You could expand the strikes like you did, higher, 20, 30, all. And then you'll get everything right all the way down to the way upside, way downside. Usually I go, especially in the near term, because they give you single dollar strikes, usually 14 to 20, 10 up and 10 down. So yeah, you can stick it at 14, perfectly fine. Right. So now you got your strikes down the middle, expand it a little bit. You got your bid offers, bid ask, and then you'll have bid ask. Right. Yep. Very simple. It's telling you what the option on each strike is. On one more row, you have volume. Okay. Volume. That's the amount of contracts that are traded today. And then you have the percentage change of the last priced. Right? The percentage change of the last price today. So you'll see, let's see here. Not the last price, the percentage change from yesterday. So the last price here, if you look at the 733 calls, let's just look at 733 calls on the
Mhm.
left,
3 calls on
right?
the left.
Green, yeah, 733, 119, 120. You see the last price is 119. Now that's going to track on the SPY, it's going to track close to where the bid offer is because there's one lot's trading all day, every minute, right? Every second. So that's
Yeah.
going to track sort of the last price. But, sometimes you'll look at an individual stock and it won't be that way. It'll show you the last price that was traded. The bid offer could have moved significantly since the last time it traded. But that is the last price. The change percentage is the change percentage of that particular option today. So the option is 125, 127, whatever that is right now. That
Mhm.
that option since yesterday's close is down 81.5%. 81.5%. So that's how this is read. There's it's very standard, and it tells you what the option's thinking. Now, when you look at this and say, I want to read it, that's a whole different story. Like, I want to understand what exactly does it mean. The problem with the options chain, so it should be clear right now. This is the board. This is the way it's set up. The prices that are being shown is what the market thinks, right? It's a
Yeah.
market outcry system, right? There's bidders, there's offers, and the market's going to speak to whatever it is. Now, I don't know if you have the Greeks in here at all.
I don't believe I have the greets set up, but I will continue looking for them because something else is also open interest that I don't have pulled up here, but I will do that
Yeah, so
here
you don't
shortly.
have all. Yeah, so there's probably like a setting there where you can add
Yeah.
maybe
Let me.
things, but frankly, I would say stay away from the Greeks. Like, that's just me. Especially for beginners, you don't need the Greeks, and you don't really need open interest. I would say, yeah, but you don't necessarily need to have all these Greeks there. Implied volatility is something that you can probably get. So I would say that this is more than enough, right, for right now. I just want to make sure it sounds simple, but it's important to understand that the bid offer is the market's price. It's the market's expectation. It doesn't mean that that's the theoretical value. It doesn't mean that it's cheap or expensive. It just means that that is the price. Okay. So there you have net change, or you can add a couple of things there. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point is that's the price. Now the question is, what do you do with all this stuff? Like, what do you do with, and if you want to get into that, we could. But
Yeah.
let me know what your questions are right away.
So on this, right, we have the bid and the ask. It's the same thing as taking a look at stocks, where you look at the bid and the ask there as well. Something else that I feel like it's important to look at this bid and the ask is also the spread that some folks might see, because right now you're looking at a SPY, so the spread is whatever. But let's say
Yes.
if I was looking at let's just say I was looking at MGM, right? And this is where MGM is. You've got different things here while it goes ahead and populates. Or if we want to go ahead and take a look at, let me try another one. Pull that up. This is what happens when you do it live. You can
Yeah,
see how the spread has gotten a bit, quote unquote, looser, right? So instead
right.
of it being a one
Wider.
penny,
Yeah, the
two
spread is
pennies,
wider.
wider. Thank you. Looser is definitely not the right word, but you've got now a wider spread coming in. So that's something that I think folks should pay attention to when trading as well, because that'll mess you up and automatically put you at a much negative ROI as soon as you get into a trade.
Right. I think yeah, the point is people don't realize that it's part of the invisible cost of trading. So
Yeah.
over time, if you're in and out of a bunch of things, you think, what does it matter here? What does it matter there? Well, you're crossing, in this sense, 7 cents. And how much is 7 cents on
Two and a
excuse
half
me, how much
percent.
is 7 cents on $2.60? Treat it
Two
like
and
a
a half.
stock, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
it's
Two
two and a
dollars
half
and sixty
percent.
cents. So it's 3.5%. 3.5% adds up. You do that 10 times during a day.
Yeah. It definitely, and I've been, and especially because say you need to get out, right? That's the biggest aspect of it. Getting in, okay, fine. Yes, you're jolly. You'll go ahead and hit the ass. That's fine. But when you want to get out of a position because your stop loss is about to get hit, that's another story. Is your stop loss might now need to get a bit wider as well, a bit longer, because
Yeah,
you
here's the
don't know.
trick too. I'm going to tell you up front here. The market makers make their most money. They make their most money. So if you know this, you start off at a better mental mental situation here. The market makers make the most money on in the money options, because you see there, look at the spread on the in the money options. The
Yeah.
290 calls are 1370, 1445. Talking
Yeah.
about 70, 80, 75 cents, 75 cents of VIG or bid offer spread
Mm.
that you got to potentially cross. And now you can try to do it in the middle, but the minute you put your order in the middle, what happens is the market is allowed to actually just trade in front of that. So, for example, if you said, "Oh, I want to sell it at 14," and you don't know exactly what the price should be, then 14 is where you put your offer. And now, say you put a 10 lot,
Yeah.
14, okay, that's fine. But now the whole world sees this offer at 14 and could actually, and Apple, it's a little bit harder, but could actually sell stock against it, right?
Yeah.
And could lean on your order, basically. So they sell it. And that's where people start getting frustrated because they say, well, I put it at 14 and then the market goes 1360 bid at 1390. Then I put it at 1390 and it goes 1340, 1380, and it starts moving lower. And that's
Yeah.
just the nature of the market. It becomes it's harder to do in names like Apple and the big names. But when you go to you go outside the top 50 names, top 100 names, oh,
Yeah.
it can become very
Oh,
frustrating when you're in the
look at
money.
this. I mean, this is at the money, and the
Yeah,
spread itself is 45 cents. This is MGM, expirations of 3 days. Now, granted, it is not your monthly
yeah,
expiration, so if you go out there, it'll be a little bit better supposedly. But
yeah.
even just for
No,
the 3 days,
this is
it's
very
still,
important. What you're pointing out is very, very important to understand. You're talking about a 45 cents on a potential, you pay $1, you're immediately down 45 cents if you want to get out. That's a 45% loss on whatever you just put your money up. So
yeah.
it is very important to monitor the bid offers and to figure out how much VIG am I paying. It's you don't want to be paying a lot, um, and unfortunately, when you start getting past 50, the top 50, top 100 names, you're going to see this. Even the top 50 names, you'll see a decent bid offer, and
Mhm.
so that's what makes it a little bit challenging for sure.
Yeah. As we kind of take a look at a couple of different things, when you are going through and taking a look at an options chain, obviously open interest is another one. And although I don't have the settings to show it, can you just tell the folks the difference between volume and open interest?
Sure. So on most chains, you'll see open interest, and open interest is simply the amount of contracts that are open between two counterparties. So if the open interest is 5,000 contracts, that
Yeah.
means there's 5,000 buyers, assuming everybody has one lot, and 5,000 sellers. Or there's one buyer who bought 5,000 contracts and 5,000 sellers who sold one each, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that there is an opening position and a closing position on that particular strike. Now, what does that mean? Well, that takes a little bit more analysis and an understanding. Probably don't have the time here, but
Yeah.
there is information to be gathered from the open interest. The way I look at it is, or think about it is, I'm asking myself the question: where are the bets being made? So I can look at the open interest and I could see areas that pop up, and I could say there's interest there. For what reason? I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
that leads me to sort of what's happening.
You also have to where like you love to trade stories and also look at unusual options to make that happen. So sometimes people will see, oh, 3,000 options for Apple expiring tomorrow just traded. That someone's buying, someone's looking for something. But then if you take a look at the open interest and say if the open interest is less than the volume, then you have a good idea. Nothing is 100%, but you have a good idea that that transaction is obviously an opening position because from yesterday, the volume today is much greater. There's no way that makes sense mathematically, right?
That's
Whereas
correct.
if the
Yes.
volume is around the ballpark or less than the open interest, then it could go ahead and be a closing trade. It could be multi-leg. It could be whatever the
Right. You
case.
won't find out. You won't find out until the next day. And again, all of this takes a little bit of know-how and a little bit of understanding. And it's a little bit of a process,
Yeah.
to fully appreciate what's happening. But just I'd say for beginners, it's important to understand that that's where the bets are being made. And
Mhm.
you can start digging into what that means and thinking about where or when that option traded. So if you see some open interest, 10,000 options in a XYZ name that doesn't trade like the SPY, and you see 10,000 options, immediately some questions should pop up in your head.
Yeah.
When did those
You,
options trade? What
Mhm.
price did they trade? Were they buyers or were they sellers? Those
Yeah.
are those are investigative questions that you can go and look into past data and historical data and try to figure out those answers. When you get those answers and you start investigating around the board of the same name to see if there's any other places that the open interest pops up, you can come up with a story and you could start putting and piecing things together. That's the art of what I do. I think it's simple, but when I show people, they say, "Wow, there's a lot going on there." So, it does take a little bit of time to learn, but we can do that in future lessons. But for right now, that's where the bets are being made. Volume
Yeah.
is telling you where the trades are being done today. Open interest is telling you where the bets have been made. Price action is telling you what the market is saying right now, regardless of where any model thinks. People think that because the Black-Scholes model says it's worth 3 and the market is saying 345, 365, that there's edge. No, it's just a model. Black-Scholes is just a model, right? It's like the market is speaking, it's saying it's 345, 355, whatever it is, and you
Yeah.
got to respect that. You got to respect that for what it is right now.
Yeah. And taking a look at this right above the actual chain, you also have these various dates. Now, of course, in the SPY, you can pretty much trade dailies or zero DTE, 0 days till
Right.
expiration. But if you go to a stock like, say, Apple, and every stock varies, but you have expirations that happen once a month as well. What are the dangers or the reasonings that someone may want to play weeklies versus what I would call monthlies versus going out further
Yeah.
as well?
So what you would look at, so if you're looking at the let's start with the zero DTE. Zero DTE will expire today. That's what it's called. 0 days to expiration. It's gonna expire today, this afternoon, 4 o'clock. It goes to toilet paper. If it's out of the money, in the money, it's gonna be worth something. Okay.
Yep.
What that means is if you're on this side of the curve, on the left side of that table, you will have a lot of leverage, a lot of leverage. But carrying a lot of leverage means also a lot of risk, right?
Mhm.
The further you go to the right on days and
Yeah.
time, the less leverage you're going to experience and the less volatility P&L you will experience. Ultimately, that's called, you start getting into the Greeks. It's called, it brings in gamma, right? So
Yeah.
on zero DTE, your gamma can be significant, which means the leverage is significant. $1 option can easily turn to $4 or $5 for sure. But
Yeah.
$1 can also turn to zero, right? When you get to the down the road and you start looking at June, not April, sorry, June, August, September options, they're not going to move as much. Okay, so a
Mhm.
dollar move in the stock or $2 move in the stock, they'll move. They'll move by what's called the delta, but it's not going to move that much. Implied volatilities generally aren't going to move that much. But in the front, the closer you are to today, zero DTE, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, the greater the gamma is, and the greater more. What that means is the more leverage and the greater the volatility of your P&L.
Yeah. This is great information, especially when people want to play. When people say, "Oh, just YOLO, I want to play earnings," right? Different strategies for different
And
individuals.
strategies for different folks, right?
Yeah, yeah. Some of them hopefully are still among us, at least in terms of the trading world as well. Any final thoughts in terms of tips and tricks when taking a look at the options chain?
No, I think the point is, and the number one question is simple. How do you choose? You got the board there. How do you choose? We talked about it a few lessons ago when talking about single stocks. Again, I've built a patented tool that actually does that for you. It was built to overlay this, and you can get it at tool.optionsgeek.com, and it's free. And I allow people to play around with it because this is the problem. This is the only reason why I'm in front of a camera over the last few years, to explain that this is a real problem. How do you get to the strike that you want right
Yeah,
now, and how do you interpret that? And the point that I'd really like to make is that there's never been an answer. So if you don't know or you're guessing or it, that's the point. Everyone is right.
yeah,
The industry doesn't teach a way to choose. It teaches the mechanics, right? It teaches what the Greeks are, it teaches all these different things, but it doesn't teach you how to actually choose the right option for your idea or the right option for my idea to maximize. When I mean by the right option, to maximize the risk reward. So if you're feeling the weight of that decision right here, it's normal because and you feel like you have to guess, it's normal because there is no answer. There's never been an answer. So that
Right.
is the problem. It's an industry wide problem.
Got it. Yeah, next week we will talk about how to trade covered calls. So that is
Perfect.
definitely something that we can take a look at again. Is trying to figure out which one would be the best bang for our money. But as always, Felix, pleasure talking to you, man. Hang tight
Perfect.
while the recording uploads, and folks, we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye bye.